Hi, Mace. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Dixon. So the three participants here.
Yep.
Okay. All the very best and my sincere appreciation to all of you. So with a good clap, we will welcome you to do your presentation. Okay. So you got about 10 minutes time, all of you, and then we'll leave some time for questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I start the timer now?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. It starts now.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Today, our group will share our understanding about topic 1, Zeno's paradox, Achilles and the tortoise. This presentation will talk from 3 parts. First, I will explain that paradox is, do the simple verifications and talk about interesting point. Next, Shubham will talk about the methods, the limit of infinity series, and how does that to support the paradox. Finally, Michael will show you how to solve this paradox. So, what's the Achilles and the tortoise? Achilles raced with the tortoise. The tortoise ran 1 meter first. The speed of Achilles is 4 meters per second, and the speed of tortoise is 1 meter per second. Once Achilles achieves the first meters, the tortoise will run round 1 on 4 meters. Once Achilles achieves that, the tortoise will run of the 16th meters. It seems like the quickest runner, Achilles, can never overtake the slowest. But in factly, it's really easy to prove that's wrong in the real world. Having race with your person, and you can find the people who run fast easily catch up with the people who run slow but fast. We also can use the distance equation to find the time when Achilles catch up with the tortoise. The time will equals to d. It's the distance that tortoise run first divided by the speed of Achilles minus the speed of tortoise. The interesting point of this paradox is Zeno tried to prove that the time and the spaces are not infinity divided, or the movement is impossible. But based on the currently scientists' knowledge, we know the smallest length is Planck's length in quantum physics, hence the shortest time will be the time required to travel a Planck length. But try to prove that mathematically, it need to understand the formulate of limit method.
What is formalism of limit? Limit is a mathematical concept that can be regarded as a threshold point for a specific function that has the authority to remain arbitrarily close to it but cannot touch it. For example, any random function f assigns an output f of x to every input x. The function would have a limit at a given point a. Whenever f of x tends to get closer and closer to the limit, it will be due to x getting closer and closer to point a. This can be shown, this can be seen through the notation provided. Limit f of x equals to the limit when x approaches a. What is the limit of an infinite series? The limit of an infinite series is just adding up all the partial sums in the sequence, which would equal a finite number that can be classified as the limit or the upper bound for the infinite series. The limit can be determined first by classifying if the series is converging or diverging, and then from the respective method is chosen. How does formalism of limit spot the paradox? According to Zeno's paradox of motion, the torus can be thought of as the limit in this paradox, whereas Achilles can be taken as a function or the path that is trying to approach it. In reference to this paradox, it is impossible for Achilles to overtake the torus. This can be proved by an infinite series of distances, which can be divided in 2 ways, which would the same result, either dividing the distances into halves or dividing the distances by torus reaching a start of each Achilles run. Both the sequences follow an infinite series. Looking at the second series, Achilles has an infinite number of catch-ups to do before he can catch the torus. As there are infinite steps in this sequence, the distance will decrease every single time and eventually go arbitrarily close to zero, but won't ever be zero. Finally, the sum of the distances of the infinite catch-up would add up to a finite number, which will be labeled as the limit, hence which cannot be overtaken. Hence, Achilles will never overtake torus according to formalism of limit. Contradictory, there is a flaw in this paradox, which is an unstated assumption that the sum of the infinite series cannot be finite. This assumption will be proven wrong with the help of mathematical calculations in the next step.
To obtain a solution, let's just suppose Achilles is running at 4 times the speed of the tortoise, and the tortoise starts the race a meter ahead. When Achilles first catches up to the tortoise would have moved a quarter meters. Then once Achilles catches up again, the tortoise has then run a quarter of what it just ran. So from this, it is evident that a series of an infinite sum is forming and takes the form of the sum of 1 on 2 to the n from 0 to infinity, which will then give us 1 plus a quarter plus a 16th and so on. The limiting sum converges, and to find a finite value, we can use the limiting sum formula, which is S equals A on 1 minus R, where R is the common ratio and A is the first value in the series. From this, we are able to obtain a value of 4 on 3 meters, which refers to the sum of the series after an infinite number of steps, and concludes that after 4 on 3 meters, Achilles will catch up to the tortoise. This same idea can be used to show the time it would take Achilles to catch up to the tortoise. Zeno's claim that there was an infinite number of steps Achilles would need to take, which is seen through the infinite series, but fails to recognize that the infinite number of steps could be achieved in an infinite amount of time or distance, which would allow Achilles to catch up to the tortoise.
Done, miss.